What's going on, everybody? This is the Night Shift, the awesomemode.com MLB preview for Monday, May 21st. It's a decent sized slate. We've got 9 games. It doesn't look like there's going to be too much issue from a weather perspective. Right now I'm seeing just potential rain in Chicago for Orioles-White Sox, but other than that, it looks like we can probably have a full game or a full night without having to worry about too much weather. So I'm pumped to play, mostly because there's a ton of really good pitching. I know I don't normally focus on pitching. That's usually Jake's bag. He's the spotlight pitcher guy, but there's a ton of pitching coming up for Monday. So I'm going to walk through that in a little bit of detail and then just take a peek at some of the stacks that I think I'll be looking at for tomorrow. So I'm going to start on DraftKings just because that's usually easier to talk about from a pitching perspective. I love Walker Buehler, but I love Walker Buehler every single day he plays. So I don't know if I've just got blinders on or what, but he's 9,300 tomorrow. I think he's definitely my favorite option of the night. Just to be able to get his strikeout upside at that price point is great. Dodgers, really sizable favorites. I've got the Dodgers 63% likely to win that game right now. Rockies implied total is only 3.1. I think, judging on this, yeah, that's the lowest on the slate. So my focus definitely on DraftKings would be Walker Buehler. I don't see a ton of differentiation between Greinke and Gio. So if I were using them, I'd pay close attention to the expected ownership. If either one of those guys had a big gap over the other, I would probably be looking to pivot to the other one. Miles McCollum now up to 9,800. Not a guy that I'm going to be focusing on too much. I don't mind him at that price point, but I think Walker Buehler is pretty clearly the best bargain of the slate. And then I'm probably not looking too much at Fulte or Nick Pivetta. The next step down, I would expect a lot of combinations of Walker Buehler, Masahiro Tanaka, who's going for the Yanks against the Rangers. Yankees also 63% chance to win. So really nice shot there. Tanaka can get the Ks. Rangers, not the best offense in the world, but they do get the 4.1 run implied total right now. They strike out a lot. So I'm liking Tanaka quite a bit on DK. And I like Jose Berrios, actually. Coming off that really nice start in his last time out. They've got the Tigers. Tigers only have a 3.7 run implied total. That's super low. Twins 65% chance to win. So I really like all three of those guys, Buehler, Tanaka, and Berrios. I expect them to make up a lot of ownership for me. I'll have my bits of Greinke and Gio just to fill out salary, but I don't expect to be too heavy on them. Buehler, Tanaka, and Berrios will be my guys. And then I think Chase Anderson looks okay on DK. But, he's not my first choice or anything like that. I would expect most of my ownership to be Greinke, Gonzalez, McCollum, Tanaka, Berrios, and Buehler. And it's just, I can't get over the Walker Buehler's price. With the Dodgers, or with the Rockies only having a 3.1 run implied total, that's insane. Buehler hasn't been as good as I would have liked him to be so far this season. He's certainly getting priced like he should be, but that line is the first one that I could remember being yo, I need to pay attention to this dude. Rockies strike out, at a rate a little bit more aggressively than average. They have been absolutely atrocious against left-handed pitching, or against right-handed pitching rather, with a 63 weighted runs created plus. Only 29% hard contact. League average is 35. Only slugging 369. So I expect him to be pretty popular. Hopefully not too popular. If he is, that's fine. Having more Tanaka and Berrios is going to be okay to me, but I see Walker Buehler as the clear best option of the entire slate on DraftKings and on FanDuel to a degree. If I take a look at the FanDuel guys now, Buehler is the most expensive pitcher. The fact that he's more expensive than Zach Greinke or Gio Gonzalez is real crazy to me. I like all three of those guys at the top. I'd say that I would go Buehler, Gio, and then Greinke if I had to rate those guys, and then McCollum would be fourth. He's got the same price as Gio. I think Gio is a much better option tomorrow. I think Tanaka looks really good at 8,100. I would probably prefer Tanaka and the $300 savings to Berrios. And then if I needed a pay down option, it would probably be Chase Anderson at 6,100. But I would imagine all of my ownership will be from Tanaka or higher. And a lot of that will be concentrated on Buehler and Gio. I'm really surprised that Walker Buehler is the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel, especially with Greinke and Gio being so expensive on DraftKings. Loving Walker Buehler. He would be absolutely the first spotlight pitcher I would write up tomorrow if I did spotlight pitchers. I don't know how Jake will feel about it. It'll be interesting. He's definitely going to like Berrios. Minnesota homer Jake is definitely going to like Berrios. So that's it for pitching for me, really. Honestly, if I didn't really mention anybody, they're just really not on the table for me. That's all I got. So let's take a look at some hitting, some of the stacks that I expect to like. Without question, I expect the Twins to be one of my three main stacks. 5.3 run implied total. Blaine Hardy is going for the Tigers. The Twins have been solid against lefty pitchers so far this year. So I think the Twins will definitely be a team that gets a lot of my ownership. Dozier looks good. Kepler and Rosario scare me a little bit just because of the lefty-lefty matchup, but even still, really nice price points. And the 5.3 run implied total is telling me something. I like Dozier, Escobar. Robbie Grossman looks pretty good for tomorrow. Buxton's only 2,100. I mean, they've got 4 guys in their lineup tomorrow at $2,200 or less on FanDuel, which is just crazy. You can even get Kepler at 2,700. So I think the Twins are like the easiest stack to have if you need to fit people in on FanDuel, because you can barely spend any money on Twins hitting, and that implied total is going to be nice. Other than the Twins, I'd say that I like the Yankees quite a bit. Anytime that you can go against Bartolo Colon, you got to take that shot. Yanks have the 5.4 run implied total. It's the highest of the slate. And here's the spot where you're actually going to be paying up for people. So the Yankees and the Twins actually make for a really nice pairing because of how cheap the Minnesota guys are. But love Brett Gardner tomorrow, particularly on FanDuel, where he's only 2,800 to lead off. To get a leadoff guy at $2,800 with Brett Gardner's skill set in a game where you have the highest implied total, ludicrous. So I'll have an overwhelming amount of Brett Gardner. I'll have quite a bit of Didi Gregorius, who's oddly more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. So looks amazing on DraftKings. These first 4 guys in particular, with Judge and Stanton. Gary Sanchez will probably have the most ownership for me at catcher. I like Aaron Hicks. I like Neil Walker. I like Neil Walker quite a bit on FanDuel too. Only 2,200. Again, you're just trying to follow the runs here. So I'll end up with this entire lineup. I'll concentrate most of that ownership on the big ones in the top 5. And they're in a great spot. They're going to be popular. I would guess the Yankees will probably be the most popular stack tomorrow. Just spitballing. And with good reason. I mean, it's Bartolo Colon. Why would anybody be worried about that? Another stack that I think could be quite popular would be the Cardinals. Cardinals face the Royals. The Cardinals have a 5 run implied total. They're one of 3 teams that have a 5 or higher. Ian Kennedy, not exactly striking a ton of fear into people. And like the price point for all the Cardinals guys, just great. Right now, it looks like they have Francisco Pena projected to be the catcher, so I won't get to him all that often, I would imagine. But I really like the top 7. So I've got Tommy Pham looking like a really nice option at the top of the lineup. Matt Carpenter, obviously a great spot in a lefty-righty matchup. Dual eligibility on DraftKings, only 3,400. He'll probably be one of the better plays of the day. You know, I'm always looking to get someone like Jose Martinez or Marcelo Ozuna. Jed Jerko looks really nice for tomorrow. Ozuna in particular, 2,600 on FanDuel, 3,300 on DK. I mean, he's a really nice option to try and hit a home run for tomorrow. And then, I'd be fine having some Dexter Fowler, who I've got slotted into the 6th spot. And Colton Wong is who we have in 7th right now. He gets the lefty-righty matchup. He's super cheap, under 3,000 on DK. I would guess that the Cardinals, the Yankees, and the Twins would be my 3 highest owned stacks by the time we get to lock tomorrow. If we wanted to talk about any other sort of individual guys, let me filter this back out. We'll take a look at some guys that might work as a bit more of a one-off. So like the Orioles have a decent team total, 4.8, White Sox 4.7. If we don't have too much weather there, I like some of the righties at the top of the Orioles lineup. Hector Santiago is pitching for the White Sox. He's got a 5.23 projected FIP from Steamer right now. So Trey Mancini, Adam Jones, Machado, Scope, Trumbo, those first 5 guys for the Orioles should be pretty popular with that implied total in that matchup. And in a way, I kind of like the White Sox, just not as much. We talk about it a lot on the show, but we're not really huge fans of Andrew Cashner. So I like the top couple guys for the Sox, Moncada, Yolmer Sanchez, and then Jose Abreu just looks to be in a really good spot. I'd say that Machado is probably my favorite guy here, but he does have quite the price point. So being able to get a guy like Jonathan Scope, 3,200 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DraftKings, I think he'll be really, really popular for me. And then, someone like Mark Trumbo, who, you're hoping he hits a home run. Well, $2,800 on FanDuel to get, a big-time slugger against a lefty should be someone that is relatively popular tomorrow. One other team I do want to take a look at would be the Nats. Nats are hosting the Padres. Robbie Erlin is going for the Padres. I like Erlin, but it is a lefty spot, so guys like Trey Turner and Anthony Rendon, Mark Reynolds on DraftKings with dual eligibility. Price point is $300 cheaper than it is on FanDuel. Those are some guys that I would look to get to. You might see slightly lower ownership for Bryce Harper because of the lefty-lefty matchup, so I actually like that as a spot to take him. I don't expect the Nats to be all that popular because I think Erlin isn't bad, but Rendon and Turner look like really high-end plays at a third base spot and at a shortstop position where you can get the benefit of the platoon matchup. There are some teams like Rockies and the Padres, I'm not really looking at these guys at all. I can't imagine having any Padres in my lineup. Any Rockies, probably not any Tigers. It's a real clear delineation. It's a lot of decent pitching, a lot of pitching I have no interest in, and then a couple teams that I love from a hitting perspective, and some that I don't necessarily feel the same way about. The Marlins are facing the Mets and Jason Vargas, and I don't find Jason Vargas to be terribly good, but there's not enough good right-handed hitting on the Marlins. I mean, you're looking at all guys that don't have a ton of pop. They're not a very good team. I wanted to focus a little bit more on the Mets. I guess that's Elieser Hernandez going for the Marlins. So Wilmer Flores looks pretty good. 2,300 on FanDuel, 2,800 on DK. It might be like a budget one-off guy if you need to finish a lineup. And then Jay Bruce looks like a pretty decent one-off outfield option. Lefty-righty matchup, Bruce has always been a lot better against righties in his career. Under 3,000 on FanDuel, 3,600 on DK. He's got a decent chance at a home run. As of right now, I have him 22nd most likely guy to go yard tomorrow, with Stanton being the clear number one guy for me. In case anybody's interested, I'll go the top 5 for home run likelihood: Stanton, Gallo, Rhys Hoskins, Machado, Aaron Judge. So to get 2 guys like Judge and Stanton on that Yankee stack, that's going to be a spot that I'm going to go quite a bit. That's basically it. Jake and I will break down each game individually in the morning, but that's the first pass. It looks like it's going to be just a solid Monday schedule, 9 games. I'm hoping that White Sox game clears out and it's not really an issue. Tons of high-end pitching options. I mean, ownership should be relatively spread out. I'm really anxious to see what Walker Buehler's looks like, because I do think that my data overrates him slightly, but at the same time, that Vegas line is just too appealing. So we'll pay attention to that. We'll talk ownership. We'll have the show with Jake and I up in the morning. We'll have spotlight hitters and pitchers and stacks up as well. And then Chris and I will be back Monday night, 6 o'clock, live before lock, where we'll break all of this stuff down again. Please like and subscribe this video and the channel. Things are going great right now. We're putting out a lot of good stuff. I highly recommend a premium membership, but that should come as no surprise. I'm obviously going to be eschewing those virtues, but Awesimo's been putting out a lot of really interesting content, and I think the premium members would agree that it's coming from a perspective that they don't normally see. Analysis of how likely certain pitchers are going to be to finish with the number 1 or top 2 score on DK, comparing that to ownership to try and find some spots where you can find some additional value. So we're putting that kind of stuff out regularly. We're always going to be putting out more and more content, so please check that stuff out. I hope everything went well for people on Sunday. Strasburg, not the best. Likely would have been better off with Syndergaard, but Darvish was pretty solid, so I'm okay with that for right now. That's all I got, people. I will talk to you again in the morning with Jake and then at night with Chris. Best of luck and sweet dreams if you listen to this Sunday night.